Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. In Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Mishnapad Paramahansa Padavajikacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayo Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajikacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 23rd day of September 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge, text number 17 on page 398. Pitaham Asya Jagato Mata Data Pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Rik Sama Yajurevacha Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Data Pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Riksama Yajurevacha Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Data Pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Riksama Yajurevacha Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Dhata Pitamaha Vejam Pavitram Omkara Riksama Yajurevacha Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Data Pitamaha Vejam Pavitram Omkara Sama Yajurevacha. Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Data Pitamaha Vejam Pavitram Omkara Riksama Yajurevacha. Anyone else on this side? Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Data Pitamaha Vejam Pavitram Omkara Riksama Yajurevacha. Ladies. Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Dhata Pitamaha Vejam Pavitram Omkara Riksama Yajurevacha. Pitahamasya Jagato Mata Data Pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Riksama Yajurevacha. Anyone online? Guess not. Pita, father. Aham, I. Asya, of this. Jagataha, universe. Mata, mother. Dhata, supporter. Pitamaha, grandfather. Vejam, what is to be known. Pavitram, that which purifies. Omkaraha, the syllable Om. Rik, the Rig Veda. Sama, the Sama Veda. Yajuhu, the Yajur Veda. Eva, certainly cha, and. Translation. Lord Krishna says, I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sama, and the Yajur Vedas. Purport. The entire cosmic manifestations, moving and non-moving, are manifested by different activities of Krishna's energy. In the material existence, we create different relationships with different living entities, who are nothing but Krishna's marginal energy. Under the creation of Prakriti, nature, some of them appear as our father, mother, grandfather, creator, etc. But actually they are parts and parcels of Krishna. As such, these living entities who appear to be our father, mother, etc. are nothing but Krishna. In this verse, the word Data means creator. Not only are our father and mother parts and parcels of Krishna, but the creator, grandmother, and grandfather, etc. are also Krishna. Actually, any living entity being part and parcel of Krishna is Krishna. All the Vedas, therefore, aim only toward Krishna. Whatever we want to know through the Vedas is but a progressive step toward understanding Krishna. That subject matter which helps us purify our conditional position is especially Krishna. Similarly, the living entity who is inquisitive to understand all Vedic principles is also part and parcel of Krishna, and as such is also Krishna. In all the Vedic mantras, the word Om, called Pranava, is a transcendental sound vibration and is also Krishna. And because in all the hymns of the four Vedas, Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva, the Pranava or Omkar is very prominent, it is understood to be Krishna. Or they are understood. Yes, Pranava is understood to be Krishna. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya chakshur unmilatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So this is one of several instances in the Bhagavad Gita in which Krishna begins to identify himself with various elements of the material world. And as Prabhupada so ably describes in the purport, ultimately Krishna is everything. What are you going to point to in this world that is not part of his energy? Nothing. Everything. Even when there's just nothing there, the ether is an element. Ether being the space. So the great devotees, the pure devotees, they see Krishna everywhere and everything. And in that way, that's one of the ways that they never feel that they're really separated from Krishna. And but whereas Krishna is there in his energies, he's there in all of these manifestations, we still want to get our relationship established with the personal Krishna, with the original person playing the flute, cavorting in the spiritual world in his original form. Why is that? Because the ultimate goal of Bhakti Yoga is not really liberation. It's certainly not peace of mind, although these are byproducts which are very valuable. But it's ultimately love. It's love, and it's not just the state of love, but it's dynamic love. It's a life in which your life is composed of different ways in which you're expressing your love for Krishna. And where? In the idyllic abode, Goloka Vrindavan, the spiritual world. What is that like? There's two verses that can exist in the Brahma Samhita at the end. Now this Brahma Samhita means a song sung by Brahma. He meditated for thousands and thousands of years. He was given instruction, two-syllable instruction 3 times. Brahma's sitting on this lotus. There's no one else around, and it's dark. Well, where did I come from? What is all this anyway? All I've got to work with is this lotus. So he tried going down the stem of the lotus, but he couldn't find Vishnu, although he's down there, because he wasn't pure enough yet. So he came back up and sat down and just waited, and he heard these 2 syllables, tapa, tapa, tapa. I don't know if it's exactly like that. Krishna is speaking to him. That word means austerity. It means now you have to, so he said, oh, okay. So he meditated for a long, long time. Krishna enlightened him within the heart. That's right in the second line of the first verse of the 18,000 verses of the Bhagavatam. Janmanyasya tonvayadi tadatashtarte vigyaswarat tene brahma badaya adikabhye bhuyanti yatsurya. Now, most devotees say, no, it's Brahma. No, but that's the Brahma without the long A at the end. That's why the diacritic is so important. That means transcendental knowledge. By him, the Lord, Krishna, who is creator of everything, the Adi Kabhaye, the original sage, Brahma, who's the knower of everything, and with that knowledge, he was able to create all the planets and populate the universe and everything. So he was enlightened from within. Krishna enlightened from within. There was no anything going on, but Krishna was in the heart. So he's doing the same with us here. He's trying to bring us along, And what does it mean? Because the last verse was similar. Aham kata, aham yagya, swadaham. I pointed out there are 8 ahams in this verse. He's identifying with, I am the ritual, I am the sacrifice, I am the offering to the ancestors, I am the healing herb, I am the transcendental chant, I am the butter and the fire and the offering. So where is it not Krishna? I mean, you could walk outside here and say, yes, Krishna is this tree, Krishna is this patio flooring here, he's also the Tulsi house, he's also Tulsi. You can live like that. The point is that the great devotees, they see God everywhere for 2 reasons. One is they have this knowledge that it's all his energy. But the other is that their hearts become purified of all confusion and ignorance and material desire. And what's left is simply the pure desire to serve Krishna, know Krishna, and love Krishna. And in that consciousness, they see him everywhere, and they want to give that consciousness to others because that is the most valuable thing that there is. There's nothing valuable in this world, materially. It's just a distraction. It's just part of the bewildering material energy, where we think, oh, I got it covered now. I got the job. I got a good bank account, wonderful wife and kids. Everything's fine, you know. But how long is it fine? Talk to someone who's been around almost 80 years now. You know, everything changes. I mean, you don't have to be around that long to realize that nothing stays the same. So you may have something today and you won't have it tomorrow. What is that in the beginning of the second canto, Sukadeva Goswami, it's a really strong words. It said the materialists, they're misusing their time. How does it go? But they have the fallible soldiers. Deha patta karadari shatma sainyeshva satvapi tesham pramatto nidanam pashyan apina pashyati. So we have our things that we think give us some security, beginning with our own body, keep it healthy and strong, you know, youth. Okay. Apatya, the wife, the children, kalatra adishu means the wife, etc. Atma sainyeshu, those are the soldiers that are going to help us defend us against danger in this world and unhappiness also. But they're asatsu. They're not eternal. They're also fallible. So we have this defense, but the defense has so many holes in it. You know, asatsupi tesham pramatto nidanam pashyam. Although seeing everywhere that these soldiers are fallible and that people really can't defend against old age, disease, and death, or you know, natural calamities, or all these other miseries, the threefold miseries. It's good to know them and categorize it. We can see, oh, I get it. Yeah, there's these fires or these floods or whatever it is. This is adi-daivic miseries. But isn't there a kind of a twist in it now? Because what brought about the big floods and the droughts and those fires we had up north? It's man, anthropogenic climate change, isn't it? And so, yes, it's adi-daivic, but it's the daivas are getting a lot of encouragement and empowerment from what we're doing to give us these miseries. So this is what material life is all about. You're going along, you have it covered, okay, things are nice, I'm enjoying a little bit, you know, we're good, you know. But you're not good. There's danger at every step. Calamities happen. Just look at history. And ultimately, even if you lead a fairly normal life, the final calamity, you're dead. Everything you built, it's all, those bank accounts, whatever it is, has your name on it, but that's the name of your body. That's not your name. When you leave the body, you leave everything behind. So this basic understanding should provide an impetus to transcend the limitations of material consciousness and to become fixed in transcendental understanding. So that we can be confident that when we leave this body, we can leave at any time. You know, there's that one verse I like from in the Kevalashtika, my favorite. Nikshrasena hivishraso kadarudho bhavishyati kirtani matabharyad harinama eva kevalam. It's all about the holy name. Harinama eva kevalam. It says, remember that our final breath may come at any time, no matter if we're old and sick or in our youthful prime. So young and old alike should chant the name incessantly. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all to be. Now, it's not so easy to chant the holy name incessantly. You got to go to work. How can you do that? You got to deal with it. But the point is that we should try to remember Krishna as much as possible during the day and see him in our lives. Try to serve him. And cultivate knowledge so that we can remember and see the world in relation to Krishna and others. And in this way, increase our remembrance more and more, because we don't know when that final moment is. And even if it's 50 years from now, you know, still, that 50 years has to be filled up with Krishna thought as much as possible. Otherwise, when the final end comes, you won't think of Krishna. So so here's Krishna is saying, Pita hamasya jagato, I am the father of the whole universe. Now he says in the 14th chapter, Sarva yonishu konteya murteyak sambhavantaya, tasam brahma mahadyone aham bija pradakpata. You just need to remember the last line of that verse. Aham bija pradakpata. I am the seed-giving father of every living being in this world. All these living entities are emanations from me. They're expansions of me. Whether they're occupying one of these poor trees that are sitting out here for 100 years. You know, they're the sentinel. watching, until the wind comes, blows off some of their hair, or whatever they call it. But they're living entities, just like us. Just like us. So what's the difference? The intelligence. We're in the human form, we have the brain, and we can contemplate this. They can't think about us, we can think about them. But still, they're living beings, and they're going to go up gradually, up different plants, then they'll come to the, till they come to the human beings. So who knows what our background is, how many times we've been round and down and up, and all of the horrors we saw, and the pleasures we experienced, but what did it get us? So it's time to be serious about ending that samsara chakra, and to return to our home, back to Godhead. Isn't it nice to know that we have that eternal home? We may not, think that we can get back there in one lifetime, but that's where we came from. That's where we want to go. So Prabhupada is giving us all the tools that possibly can. This knowledge, wonderful purports, association, this temple, beautiful deities, the prasadam, the holy name. We got every good chance. We should take advantage of it. So just one a little contemplation on this verse. So I'm father and the mother. Why is the mother? Because all of this energy, the material energy, is where the seeds get planted of the living entities and grow in different species. So that's also Krishna. That's Bhoomer Apo Ananovaya. So I am the mother, the support, the grandsire, grandfather. I am the object of knowledge. Whatever you want to know, it's Krishna's energy. The purifier and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sama, and the Yajurvedas. Now at the end it says, and because in all the hymns of the four Vedas, Sama, Yajur, Rik, and Atharva, the Pranava Omkar is very prominent. It is understood to be Krishna. So that word Om, there's an esoteric interpretation of what that Om is, because it's made of the O is really a combination of two letters, the A and the U. And so you have these three letters, A-U-M. That's why he's an Om, right? A, according to Jiva Goswami, is Krishna, U is Radha, and M is a living entity, all the living entities. So when you chant Om, you can see Radha and Krishna and the servants. I'll find it in the purport, in the Madhya Lila for you. So you can anyway, there's all these things to contemplate and discover by just reading these verses. Any discussion on this verse? I have a question. Yes, sir. Hold on. We have one working mic. Where's the head mic? That can be used also.
Oh, well, I think we'll be okay.
All right. Then you're the mic runner.
You were saying something about the two different pronunciations of Brahma and Brahma.
Yeah,
Can you explain that?
Well, yeah, it was in reference to the first verse of the Bhagavatam, which the second line says, Tene, by him, by Krishna, Brahma, B-R-A-H-M, short A, Yada, Tene Brahma Hrida, in the heart, Adi Kaviye. Adi means first, and Kaviye means sage or poet. That's Brahma. So he's not you might think, oh, Brahma, but no, it's Brahma. This is why the diacritics is so important. The short A means Brahma, as in Brahman. Brahman is Brahma Jyoti, the effulgence, you see. But Brahma also means the knowledge of Brahman. So he got the knowledge of, supreme knowledge manifested in his heart just after meditating for, millions of years. Krishna enlightened him that way. So we have to, that's why the diacritics is so important. I'll give you something, it's hard to find really funny things there's occasionally you'll find some nice jokes in the Shastra, But I remember this. There's a prayer, you may have heard it, I don't know if you know it. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha. This is devotees, we offer our obeisance to all the devotees at the beginning of the day after the Mangalarti. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu behevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Now that word vancha means desire. Kalpa taru means desire tree. Taru is a tree. So devotees are like desire trees in that they can fulfill your spiritual desires, which are really the important ones. But you have to be careful, and devotees are not so careful. Generally what happens is that the long A's tend to lose, to become short A's, because it's a little effort to pronounce the long A, but the short A just kind of rolls off the tongue. So if you say vanchakalpatarubhyascha, kripasin, then you're not saying, I offer my obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who just like desire trees and can fill desires, everyone, like that. No, vanchaka means to cheat. So if you have vanchakalpatarubhyascha, and opa means small. So I offer my obeisance to all the devotees of the Lord, Vaishnava devotees, who are just like small cheating trees. So you have to watch out. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha. Then I offer my obeisance to all the devotees who are like desire trees. You couldn't like that. So that's just a lesson there. What are the diacritics? You see those little marks? You see it in the verse we read. Pitaham, see that little mark over the A? Pitaham. It's long A. Ah, not ah.
So when you have a diacritic, that means long A?
Well, no, the diacritics, there's diacritics that make all the ma, ta, da, ta, all those A's are long. So it's not It was mata, data, no, ma, ta, data, and pitamaha. Now I can also have a diacritic. This pita, it doesn't have it. So it's pitamaha rather than pitamaha. You see? So you learn that in the back of the book. There's a whole pronunciation guide. But it won't be in the bridge. It has to be in he'll change up. And then, there's also a little paragraph in there, but you need a little more instruction. How to figure out the meter, Like you have the meter of the Chintamani prayer, Chintamani, Pakata Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha, Ti, 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 Ti. Every line has that, Ti, 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 Ti. But then when you get to the end, and he's got these two verses describing the spiritual world, it's a different meter. They all have names, Shikarini meter. Shriya Kanta Kanta Kapadama Padusha Kalpataravo, Ti, 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 Rupa rap. The original rap is coming from the Sanskrit. And it really, adds to the meditation. If you get that down, it helps to remember.
Make you DJ Dravida.
You found out, huh? Okay. All right, let's go on before we go too far afield. So Krishna is saying all the things he is. Gatir Bhata Prabhu Sakshi Nivasak Sharanang Surit Prabhavat Pralayakstanam Nidanam Bijamavyayam. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. Purport. Gati means the destination where we want to go. It also means the means to get there. The word gati has both meanings. But the ultimate goal is Krishna, although people do not know it. One who does not know Krishna is misled, and his so-called progressive march is either partial or hallucinatory. There are many who make as their destination different demigods, and by rigid performance of the strict respective methods, they reach different planets, known as Chandraloka, Suryaloka, Indraloka, Mahaloka, etc. But all such lokas, or planets, being creations of Krishna, are simultaneously Krishna and not Krishna. Such planets, being manifestations of Krishna's energy, are also Krishna, but actually they serve only as a step forward for realization of Krishna. To approach the different energies of Krishna is to approach Krishna indirectly. One should directly approach Krishna, for that will save time and energy. For example, if there is a possibility of going to the top of a building by the help of an elevator, why should one go by the staircase, step by step? Everything is resting on Krishna's energy. Therefore, without Krishna's shelter, nothing can exist. Krishna is the supreme ruler because everything belongs to him and everything exists on his energy. Krishna, being situated in everyone's heart, is the supreme witness. The residences, countries, or planets on which we live are also Krishna. Krishna is the ultimate goal of shelter, and therefore one should take shelter of Krishna either for protection or for annihilation of his distress. And whenever we have to take protection, we should know that our protection must be a living force. Krishna is the supreme living entity, and since Krishna is the source of our generation, or the Supreme Father, no one can be a better friend than Krishna, nor can anyone be a better well-wisher. Krishna is the original source of creation and the ultimate rest after annihilation. Krishna is therefore the eternal cause of all causes. Hare Krishna. So, I was reminded of the fifth chapter when I read that last couple of sentences here. Krishna is the source of our identity, the Supreme Father. No one can be a better friend than Krishna. There's something called the peace formula, the last verse of the 5th chapter. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. So Krishna says, Bhoktaram yagyatapasam, I am the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices and austerities. Sarvaloka maheshwaram, I am the Lord and controller of all the planets. Sarvaloka mahaishwaram. But then he says something very heartwarming. He says, Sudidam sarva bhutanam. Now surit, rit is the heart. Surit is an ever well wisher. Prabhupada would always sign his letters, your ever well wisher. So what is a surit? Just as in English we have different levels of friends. He's my friend, or he's my bosom buddy, surit, I must say. Is my acquaintance, like that, So Sanskrit is the same thing. So suridam means someone who always has your friend who always has your welfare at heart, you see. Now, if that friend happens to be God, you're in pretty good shape, right? Especially if you take advantage of the help that he offers. So suridam gatvam shantam richati. If one actually knows this and really believes it with his heart and soul, then he can be really peaceful. If you know that God is your best friend and he's looking out for you, that's encouraging, isn't it? God is all-powerful. So that's the last verse of the 5th chapter. It's famous. Prabhupada gave several lectures on that. So all of this is by way of, encouraging us to serve Krishna, which we'll learn at the end of the chapter. This the formula, which was repeated in the 18th chapter. Just think of me, become devoted. And here Krishna is saying, why? I am the eternal Father of the whole universe, the mother, the grandfather, and the Omkar. I am the goal. And it's interesting because in the 2 main songs that we sing in the morning, what's called the Guru Vashtaka, 8 verses glorifying the Guru, and also in the Sri Guru Charana Padma song, the Guru Vandana song, this word gati plays an important role. In the last verse of the Guru Vashtaka, we have Yasya Prasadad Bhagavat Prasado, Yasya Prasadad Nagati Kutopi. By getting the grace of the Guru, then you get the grace of the Lord. Bhagavat. But Yasya Prasad, here's where you get talking about the diacritics. Many devotees, generally the long A's become short. So you get Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado, Yasya Prasadan Nagati Katopi. But that second line, if it's pronounced properly, Yasya Prasadat, means without his grace, there's no gati, means there's no means of advancement. The same word, but instead of the goal, it means the means to the goal. So therefore, the grace of the Guru is all important. The first line, Yasya Prasadat, by his grace, Bhagavat Prasado, you will get the grace or the blessings of the Lord. But Yasya Aprasadat, and the last A of the Yasya combines with the first A, which is, they're both short, in the Aprasadat to make Yasya Prasadat. So there's no confusion. But without his grace, there's no means of advancement. Therefore, 3 times a day we should remember the Guru and always be faithful. So that's the whole purpose of these samsara prayers, I call them from the old days. Guru Ashtaka or Guru Vashtaka. And, okay, so, what do we got to Bharta, Prabhu Sakshi. So Krishna is the goal, okay, the sustainer, the master, the witness. Did I read this purport? Okay. Sorry, I'm getting old. So Gati means the destination where we want to go, and it also means the means to get there. So without establishing a relationship with the realized soul and service, there's no means of getting to the destination. You should remember that. So we're doing that. By hearing Prabhupada's purports and hearing Krishna's words, we're serving them. It's not outside of service. Ultimate goal is Krishna. We don't know it. So how can we get faith that that is true, that our ultimate goal in life is Krishna? And that our efforts, after all, what do we have? We have a certain amount of time, we can expend our energy, we can expend our money, all right? We're independent actors to a degree. So the whole thing is the choice, what we want to cultivate, what kind of knowledge we want to cultivate, and what are we aiming at, you know? And this is the most inconceivable, wonderful goal, is to end. We've forgotten, and this is the super soul, we've forgotten. Does anyone here remember his last birth, what he did last time? But at least we all believe we had one, right? So we didn't have one, we've had millions. And it's brought us to this point, which is very auspicious. There's only a dozen people here, you know, out of the millions in San Diego. There might be more than a dozen, it's Taco Tuesday after all. But the point is, it's a minority. So we need to cultivate that faith, you know, that this is, you know, how is faith defined? You know, there's a word. Lord Chaitanya defines what real faith means, ultimately. Shraddha Shabde. Now in the Bengali idiom, the word Shabde means is defined as. Shraddha is heard to be, you know, mean is. Shraddha Shabde. Vishwas kohe sudrida nishchoy. Krishna bhakti korle sarva karma krita hoy. Which means this. The definition of real Shraddha is Vishwas Sudrida, a very strong conviction that what? That just by prosecuting the process of devotional service according to the Shastra, according to the instructors, all my aspirations of life will be fulfilled. You see? Now that's not easy to get, none of that faith. Because we're so used to having other goals and other means to goals, you know, material goals in this world. And this seems kind of nebulous, you know. But actually, this is substantial, and all the other stuff is nebulous. Trying to get success and name and fame, you know, and some sensual pleasures. It's all evanescent. It's all comes and goes, right? Temporary. And what is that verse? I might as well make a T-shirt of that verse. You can all get it. Yehi sangsparjaja boga. Dukayonaya evate adyandabanta konteya nateshu ramate buddha. So Buddha means intelligent. Who are the intelligent? The intelligent do not take part in the pleasures that are due of the contact of the senses with their sense objects. In other words, sense gratification. Why? Such pleasures are the sources of all misery, and they have a beginning and end. And therefore the wise do not delight in them. Because they want to get that pleasure that is not the source of misery, that is eternal, and that doesn't end. In other words, not temporary and doesn't have a bad reaction. Every material pleasure, even if it's in the mode of goodness, why is the source of misery? Because it keeps you here to try to enjoy it the next life. You die and remember, oh, I remember that time I was out in the forest, you know, with my girlfriend, and and it was all nature was so beautiful, and we were quoting Yeats and Keats and poetry. Oh, well, you're going to come back to do it again. You want to come back again into this body and birth, old age, disease, and death. It may be the mode of goodness, but it's still the modes. We want pure goodness, not anything to do with this evanescent, ever-changing material world. So, Sharanam Surit, again Surit, this is the well-wishing friend. I am the shelter of everyone, of everything, refuge, you know. Nivasa is abode. Prabhavak Palayak, so he's the source of creation and also destruction. Everything eventually merges back into Mahavishnu. I am this foundation. Nidanam Bijam Abhi. Nidanam is the destruction. No, the resting place. That's also a resting place. And the seed. So all these things, you know, we can try to see in the world how these things are manifest, and also simply think of Krishna like that. And it'll help build our Krishna consciousness and our desire and willingness to take shelter, to understand, okay, if I just cultivate Krishna consciousness seriously, try to be, you know, chant Hare Krishna mantra, fixed number of rounds, try to increase them, then I'll be blessed in this world, and I'll have a good way of dealing with all of the negativities that can come at any moment. I mean, I don't have to tell you, if you're just at all conscious of the world around us and the things that are going on, it's, you know, the climate itself, to have someone as the leader of the United States who is actively, showing his, not just his ignorance, but his belief that climate change is just a hoax. It's just insane. I mean, it's obviously, there's a physical way in which pouring all these greenhouse gases in are changing the climate, making it hotter, drier. The aquifers, we get the water are drying up and not being replenished. It's a disaster, So, what are we going to do about it? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. If we live peacefully on the earth, and we simply, that's our contribution to not doing climate change. We should do as much as we can, to not emanate too many greenhouse gases. But mostly we should live simply, this perfect, simple living, high thinking. That was Prabhupada's mode. Don't get enwrapped in trying to make so much money and try to, just live, simply and peacefully. Krishna will provide. And you can always come there, Tuesdays especially, Taco Tuesdays. And we have, even on other days, you can have lunch, dinner, and breakfast. Yes, you can have lunch. Come around 12:15. There's a lot of Mahaprasadam. Okay, any question on this verse? Krishna is chanting his glories. It's ecstatic. Now, tapamyaham maham varsham nivikshnam utsajami cha amitam chaiva mrityuscha sadasatchaham arjuna. So this is all a bunch of opposites. O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I'm also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Report, Krishna by his different energies diffuses heat and light throughout the agency of electricity and the sun. During the summer season, it is Krishna who checks rain from falling from the sky. And then during the rainy season, he gives unceasing torrents of rain. The energy which sustains us by prolonging the duration of our life is Krishna. And Krishna meets us at the end as death. By analyzing all these different energies of Krishna, one can ascertain that for Krishna there is no distinction between matter and spirit, or in other words, he is both matter and spirit. In the advanced stage of Krishna consciousness, one therefore makes no such distinctions. He sees only Krishna in everything. Since Krishna is both matter and spirit, the gigantic universal form comprising all material manifestations is also Krishna. And his pastimes in Vrindavan, as two that we can cover that maybe before we adjourn, these two verses. Try vidyamam soma paputa papa Yagyaristva svargatim pratiyante Te punyamasa surendra lokam Ashnandi divyan divideva bhogan. Those who study the Vedas and drink the soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planets of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Purport. The word Trividya refers to the three Vedas, Sama, Yajur, and Rig. A Brahmin who has studied these three Vedas is called Trivedi. Anyone who is very much attached to knowledge derived from these three Vedas is respected in society. Unfortunately, there are many great scholars of the Vedas who do not know the ultimate purport of studying them. Therefore, Krishna herein declares himself to be the ultimate goal for the Trivedis. Actually, Trivedis take shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and engage in pure devotional service to satisfy the Lord. Devotional service begins with the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, and side by side, trying to understand Krishna in truth. Unfortunately, those who are simply official students of the Vedas become more interested in offering sacrifices to the different demigods like Indra and Chandra. By such endeavor, the worshippers of different demigods are certainly purified of the contamination of the lower qualities of nature, meaning the lower modes of nature, and are thereby elevated to the higher planetary systems or heavenly planets known as Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, etc. Once situated on those higher planetary systems, one can satisfy his senses hundreds of thousands of times better than on this planet. But there's one problem. You can't stay there forever. As we'll learn in the next verse. Te tam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam chine punye martyalokam vishanti evam tahi dhamam anupapanna katagatam kama kama labhante. When they, these demigod worshippers, who have thus enjoyed that vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Purport. One who is promoted to the higher planetary systems enjoys a longer duration of life and better facilities for sense enjoyment. Yet, one is not allowed to stay there forever. One is again sent back to this earth upon finishing the resultant fruits of pious activities. He who has not attained the perfection of knowledge, as indicated in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha, or in other words, he who fails to understand Krishna, the cause of all causes, becomes baffled about achieving the ultimate goal of life, and is thus subjected to the routine of being promoted to the higher planets, and then again coming down, as if situated on a Ferris wheel, which sometimes goes up and sometimes comes down. The purport is that instead of being elevated to the spiritual world, from which there is no longer any possibility of coming down, one simply revolves in the cycle of birth and death on higher and lower planetary systems. One should better take to the spiritual world to enjoy an eternal life full of bliss and knowledge, and never return to this miserable material existence. So much for going to the heavenly planets, right? Yeah, it's just a fool's errand. Okay. Okay, one more, because this verse is really important. Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana parupasate tesam nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. But, on the other hand, those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. Now this is a famous line, Yogakshema Mahamyaham. Purport, one who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Being engaged in devotional service by hearing about Krishna, chanting about him, remembering him, offering prayers to him, worshipping him, serving his lotus feet, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies. Now this, I think, has been fixed. Instead of all auspicious, meaning like all these activities are auspicious, all hyphen auspicious. All auspicious, the ultimate state of auspiciousness. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Chema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable condition of life, a conditioned life. So this phrase, yoga kshema vahamyaham, Krishna says, I personally carry the yoga and the kshema. Now yoga and kshema is things that we need to live. Yoga are, in this context, means the things that, like food, shelter, car, things. And Shema means your security. If you have those things, but there's an army coming, then that's not good. You have to have security as well as the objects that you need to live. So Krishna says, I personally carry them for someone who is ananyas chintayanto mam, who meets this criteria. Is always thinking about me and serving me. Okay, we have a little time, so we have a few poems. if it's okay. Let me put this thing in here first. 23 tomorrow, right? Okay. This is a very exciting chapter, and at the end, we get the essential instruction of the whole Bhagavad Gita. What's not to like? Okay. So, that being the case, I'll give you those two verses. Because Krishna repeats the last verse. There's only one verse that he actually gives twice, essentially. And that's the last verse of this chapter. And there's I'll give you the version in the 18th chapter. Because then the next verse after that is like the crowning jewel of the whole instructions. So there's Manmana, this is 1865. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mamai vaishasi satyam te pratijani priyosi me. Just think of me, become devoted, worship me and bow down low. You'll come to me, O friend, I promise you this boon I shall bestow. Sarvadharmam parityaja, mami kang sharanam vraja, aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayisyami mashitaha. Just give up all other dharmas and surrender only unto me. Your sins I'll nullify, O Arjun, from anxiety be free. So this is the actual crowning instruction of the Gita. He's saying, okay, we talk about karma yoga, we had Ashtanga yoga, we're talking about this yoga, that yoga, and so many things, universal form. Put it behind you. Just surrender unto me and carry out my desires of fighting this war. That's the really proof. And Arjuna will say, yes, at the end. I will do as you say. And this is the supreme dharma. You don't have to worry about anything else. I will nullify all your sin-free acts, and don't worry if there's anything like that. And then you'll certainly come to me at the end. So this is Krishna's promise, and that's what we're working toward. And that was the means. The means it centers on is chanting of this mantra, this Hare Krishna mantra. That's what it's all about. Okay. Anyway, and we have time for one or two more. Okay. So a little pastime. So let's do the three verses meditating on Krishna, entering the forest, running in the forest, and then playing in the trees. So he starts with lovely peacock plume upon his head and fragrant flower placed upon each ear. He enters Braja's woods with graceful tread, a handsome dancing actor without peer. His golden yellow raiment brightly glows, his splendid garland reaches to his knees. And from his luscious lips the nectar flows and fills his flute with charming melodies. As Krishna thus begins his blissful day, with cowherd friends who sing his glories sweet, he beautifies Vrindavan's forest way with fine impressions of his lotus feet. So now he's entered into the forest. Now they're kind of well into the forest, and Krishna and Balaram run to the front and they start running. So they're running along the Yamuna. And the cows are all with him and behind them, and the boys are all with him. Let's go, said Krishna, don't delay at all. And he and Balaram began to run ahead of all their coward friends who called, "Oh Krishna Rama, let us join the fun." And off they ran to Braja's forest haunts, to play in every bower, grove, and sward. A sward is a meadow. The boys would tease their friend with playful taunts, forgetting his position as the Lord. Shri Krishna is inviting us as well to join him in his pastimes, which enthrall. The wise heed Krishna when they hear him tell, "Let's go, my friends, do not delay at all." And finally, Krishna is swinging on a bough, from a bough on a little swing, and the boys are pulling it, and he's exclaiming about the wonders of Vrindavan. For Krishna and his multitude of friends, a festival of joy each day would bring. A special thrill in Braja's forest glens was riding with him high upon a swing. O Ujjvala, these are all his friends. O Ujjvala, Sridhama, Bhadrasena, just see Vrindavan's bountiful delights. The peacocks dance, the songbird's sweet refrain, the lakes and hills and other scenic sights. All these make this the best place on the earth for us to play all day and herd the cows. Thus Krishna, in a mood of sportive mirth, enthused his friends while swinging from the boughs. And each of those poems has a nice painting to go with it. So if you write me an email at Dravida108@gmail, I'll send you my poetry file, including these three and 9 more that have beautiful paintings and the poems to go with them. Just see. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.